Hey, what's up everybody? I've had this topic in my head for a while now, and I finally got a gameplay where I can really illustrate it at its greatest point here. Coming into this, I'm going to tell you that it's almost impossible to play quote-unquote perfect or flawless matches. The gameplay I'm putting up, like I said, it illustrates this very well. I go 9-0. It's perfect in the sense that I don't die and I get the MVP. A lot of people would just consider that, oh, you played perfect. Well, not really. There's always places where you could have potentially done better, such as making a better push or saving teammates. This might come to common sense for a lot of you. It's especially should be almost impossible to get perfect matches in competitive because the skill gap between players is a lot lower. Someone on their team would have to make a terrible mistake, or there would have to be some sort of strategical flaw or a high success on your team. I feel like I've played perfect rounds where I feel like, yes, I could have not played that any better than I just did. Basically, it's executed to the best of my ability that I currently have. And that can happen quite often. You'll find that you can play in like an execution or something. You'll just have the best round you probably could have done right there. And, you know, that's what it's all about. It's all about doing that and about improving upon that. Or, you know, maybe someone else could have done better. Maybe you did the best in this scenario. There's all kinds of circumstances. Without the ability to predict the future, in a sense, it's impossible to play perfect or flawless in the thought that there's not a single mistake and that it's done as fast and efficiently as possible. This is why I like competitive gaming, because there's always room to improve, and going against an enemy that's also improving is sort of like an endless cycle. There's something called like the Red Queen hypothesis or something like that. It's basically about this round and around continuous battle of trying to surpass each other, getting better. I think it's mostly related to like I'm a biology major, so I have to talk about this stuff sometimes. It's like the battle of medicine against illness and disease. You know, as medicine gets better, you know, the diseases are going to become more non-susceptible to that medicine. So it's just an endless cycle. You know, you're about as likely to play perfect games back to back over and over again as likely as it is for us to cure every disease, and that's just not going to happen. So yeah, what I'm saying here is that you'll never be the perfect player. That's never going to happen. Yeah, so maybe you'll have a few perfect rounds, matches. Maybe you'll get one. But if you're playing against people who you should be playing against, that's really just not going to happen. But don't take this as discouraging. It's really meant to just encourage you, to show you that there is room to improve upon, no matter who you are. So, you know, even if there's something that I can't offer you, you have to realize that there is something that you do need to learn out there. You know, people really love to think that they're the best and they just can't get any better. Why do I even bother? But there's definitely always ways to improve. You could get faster, more efficient. You know, that's why on games like, I'll just use this as an example, like games like Sonic, like they have multiple playthroughs for different things, like a speed run, or, you know, going without losing any rings, getting the most rings, those kinds of things. You can always improve upon that. I mean, even the world records, I mean, I'm sure there's got to be one little thing you could have done better. So yeah, that's all I'm just trying to get out there. And, you know, like I said, without the ability to predict the future, in a sense, you really can't get to that maximum, you know, getting at the top tier of what is possible for anyone, sort of a godlike status. Because, you know, especially in shooters like games like Gears or Counter-Strike or anything similar like to that, is that you don't know where the enemy is going. You can't predict their plan perfectly. There's always going to be some sort of little surprise or something going on there. And even if you do predict it perfectly, that was just a prediction. You didn't know. So technically you didn't really play it perfectly. You just happened to play it perfectly. So, you know, that's just really mind-boggling. It's almost a paradox in a way that of trying to play perfect. So you just really have to just do your best and improve upon that and just adapt to what people are doing. So really, in a way, it's all about reacting and knowing how to react to something specifically. But now that I've sort of talked about the individual playing perfectly, let's talk about teams for a minute. So, you know, if you're working with a team that has really good communication, you pretty much almost can. I like that. Predict what the enemy's going to be doing, because in games like Counter-Strike, there's sort of like when maps start and everyone's sort of going to their little areas. You know, if you work together and communicate well enough, you can tell each other where the enemies are, and you can sort of really get in your head. Especially this is why callouts are invented, because it really adds to I mean, it's the core of strategy is knowing where your enemy is. So, and without the ability to predict the future, it's going to be really key to being able to be successful in the match. But, you know, some of you are coming in here with different ways to define playing perfect. I've sort of got the top-all sort of philosopher look at being perfect, sort of analyzing perfect for what it insinuates, really. So, you know, it's really all about you know, your perception of what perfect or flawless is. Maybe this gameplay here was flawless to you in my singleness because I went 9-0. Maybe to you it wasn't perfect at all because I made several mistakes that we could have done better. You know, maybe it's just sort of in between with you. You don't really know what you want to define perfect as. And, you know, maybe this video helped you define it a little more, or maybe it gave you a whole new perspective, or maybe you're just getting thrown into random thoughts here and you don't really know what you think is perfect. But I'll tell you mine. You sort of gotten into this so far, is that we really can't reach perfect or flawless, but we can sort of get to this best of our ability sort of thing. That's what I'm thinking of as perfect, because you can think of perfect on the individual scale, and you can think of perfect as sort of like the unlimited universal scale. And we really can't reach that, not being gods or sort of oracles of the future. So that's not really going to happen. But you can get to the top of your ability and play to that, and sort of just win the match in the best of your ability, and just trying to see how well you can perform in it. I'll get back to the gameplay itself for a minute. One thing you'll notice for sure is that I was really trying to avoid death in that second round. I feel like, I can't remember if I got a few kills stolen or if I stole any, so maybe that was a factor in why I got so many kills, or maybe not so many. And so I can't really remember. This was about a week ago. So just bear with me here, as I'm a little ignorant towards that statement. But I will say that I do remember specifically avoiding death in several places. And, you know, I mean, that's obviously something you should be doing. So what I'm getting at here is maybe dying could be good in the sense that maybe you sacrifice yourself to get 3 more kills and sort of speed up the round. But then again, maybe it's not good because you're sort of, you know, you let your team get a death, but maybe that dying could have saved you from 2 more deaths. So you see, it's sort of an endless paradox of how efficient and how helpful to the team you can be without the ability to predict the future. So I'm getting to this ability to predict the future thing because that's really is at the core of what being perfect is if you knew the future, you could easily perfect it. For example, the movie Groundhog Day. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It was a movie with Bill Murray, and basically what it was he had, you may have seen parodies of this, or, you know, unlimited examples really, but basically he has to relive the same day over and over again. And, you know, after a while, he just seems to just perfect the day and just do everything at like maximum efficiency and just sort of get everything done because he has unlimited attempts at it and he can really learn it. And that's sort of what we have with games and matches, but the people in those matches and everything is always constantly changing, so it's really hard to get a complete grasp of what's going on. So, you know, in that movie, everyone is doing the same thing because it's the same day. So we really don't have that advantage. But I think I'm all out of time here. You guys have a good one. Peace out.